Hi, my name is Benjie De Groot, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Shipyard. Today I'm going to talk about ephemeral environments and why your CA needs to treat your environments like cattle, not pets. As I said, my name is Benjie De Groot. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Shipyard. We manage your ephemeral environments for you. We'll get to that in a second. I also am the co-host of a CNCF podcast called Kubeless. You should check that out at kubeless.com. I've been a DevOps engineer for longer than I want to admit, and I've built out a whole bunch of Kubernetes and CNCF stuff over the years. But don't forget Puppet, Chef, Ansible, Bash, Buildkite, all kinds of stuff. So let's dive in. All right, so at Shipyard, we see a lot of companies, and they have a lot of different CI pipelines. We integrate with all these things, but I'm going to tell you what I've seen. So what we see here is the kind of basic setup. You've got your local, your developers do some development, then they push it to a source code repository, probably GitHub, and then there's QA and testing, and that's kind of where Buildkite and your CI really fit in, where they're obviously doing, in some instances and setups, more or less. But the main thing here for CI, for continuous, is to make sure and validate at each stage of the game that the code that you are changing is not breaking something, right? And so what happens is, in these typical setups, is that a failed test happens and you can't get anything to staging or production. The problem is that sometimes some of these things that break aren't very important, but there are really important things that it's actually blocking. So it creates this big problem and this big bottleneck, and it blocks a lot of teams, product teams, QA teams, dev teams, DevOps teams, even sales teams waiting to get something out the door. So you need to treat your environments like cattle, not pets. So this is a pretty common DevOps meme, but just to quickly review, when you have a pet, if they get sick, well, first off, they've got a name. And then second off, if they get sick, people are dropping what they're doing to go fix it because it really matters. Whereas if you're cattle, you're kind of a number, and if you're not that important, right? Like in this case, we're using it as PR environments, but if PR 418575 dies, it's okay, we can restart it, we can reset it, all kinds of stuff. So again, you want to treat your environments, especially your pre-production environments to be explicit, like cattle, not pets, because it shouldn't block the whole team. So this is what that looks like. So you've got your same local, you've got your same development, but then when you do a commit, all of a sudden you get a fully independent or isolated or ephemeral, we'll get back there in one slide, I promise, environment that Buildkite and your CI can run all your tests against. And if PR number 2 in this instance has two tests that are failing, that's okay. PR number 1 and PR number 3 can still get through without any kind of crazy cherry picking or whatever. So again, this is about unblocking your actual CI and your continuous pipeline, treating your environments as cattle. So how do you do this? You do it by going ephemeral. What ephemeral environments are short-lived, production-like isolated copies of your application. They're fully independent. That's critical. It has to be independent. They are not intertwined. They are not sharing a database. They are fully independent. The way that you want to do this is you want to have to handle 3 main things. First one is building and deploying your code. A commit comes in, you build your code, great. You deploy it, great. Pretty straightforward. I think everybody here knows how to do that. State, super, super important and pretty hard to do. If you fire up a brand new PR environment, but it doesn't have, or ephemeral environment, but it doesn't have any state, how can anyone use it? How can you run your end-to-end tests, your integration tests, all that stuff? You can't. So you either need to have someone go in there and seed it, or you have some kind of half-baked mocking or whatever you need in there. But no matter what, you need it to be independent. So if PR environment number 1 and PR environment 2 are running tests at the same time, they're not stepping on each other's toes. Same thing matters for third-party dependencies. So say you have integration with Salesforce. You typically only get one sandbox environment. If you start running your tests and they have to actually do the whole end-to-end thing, you need to have a way that you can still handle that without stepping on toes. And so third-party integrations, those are the 3 main things that you need for ephemeral. So, okay, so build this or use Shipyard. Well, I'm biased. I think you should use Shipyard, and I'll tell you why. all you need to do is you need to have Docker Compose and GitHub, and then we tie in and we automatically give you all the things that you need. And what you get out of it is a dashboard for all the environments that are automatically created through webhooks. You also get advanced debugging and observability for your build logs, your run logs, your deploy logs, and of course your telemetry. The reason this is important is because it's expected that some of the features that you're building aren't going to work. So you need the ability for your developers or your DevOps folks to dive in there and see what's going on. And bootstrapping some of that logging, all that stuff for all these other environments in an independent way can be pretty challenging. Telemetry I talked about. Data portability, that's a big one. Don't have time to get into too much. But if PR1 is trying to fix PR3's thing, which doesn't quite make sense because they're out of order there, but let's say PR3 is trying to fix PR1's problem, it might need the data from PR1, so PR3 is going to actually grab that data and that state and be, hey, did this actually fix it? Oh, it didn't? Well, let's see if PR4 can do this, or I'm going to modify PR3 and do it. And then, of course, there's velocity insights. The trick here is that this is not a new paradigm, ephemeral environments, but it is an important one, and it's really challenging to build. That's why you have folks like Meta and Google and these types of people that are successfully doing that, but they do have 500 to 1,000 person SRE teams, and maintenance is tough. So I say buy, but you can also build it yourself, and that's why you're here to find out these kind of things. So thanks for coming. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me directly. You should also check out ephemeralenvironments.io. This is a community site where it talks about some of the benefits and it dives a lot more into how to do that correctly. Thanks again for your time and enjoy the rest of the Unblock Conference 2022.